This is a man who woke up early this morning and instead of a crisp alarm clock, you heard the screams of his female companion. The forces of evil attack you again and again, but you just dodge every bullet. Roy wasn't an omnipotent god, but it was all too familiar to him. Today he would be hunted by inexplicable assassins, and each death would go back to that morning. Keep getting killed. He's been through it all so many times. He knows all the details of what's going to happen. A photo of his ex-wife. A helicopter rushes in and there's an explosion. Roy needs to jump off a building. And even if he survives this time, there's still more deaths to come. Repeat the cycle over 600 times, each time with a new experience. It could be crashing into a bus while driving, or being shot in the head by a sisterhood passing by on the street. The most mischievous is the parking lot dwarves like to put bombs on people. Not always the other side can master the sovereignty. Roy has also completed the anti-killing. Of course, the end is predetermined. Roy does not understand why he will be in this day infinite repetition. Of course, the most incomprehensible thing is that so many people want me dead. Perhaps it has something to do with his ex-wife. The call to the lab, where his ex-wife worked, was answered by a man claiming to be his ex-wife's boss. He said Roy's ex-wife was dead, and that she broke her neck last night when she came downstairs. Roy was then killed by an assassin who arrived. This death made him realize that everything happens for a reason. Just a few minutes a day weren't enough for him to uncover the truth. So he started the new day fighting for a few more minutes after blasting the sisterhood that had fucked him over the most times with a howitzer. Roy went to this regular Chinese restaurant where he'd heard everyone talk for the 100th time. Roy remembers what happened yesterday, but for him, it was a long time ago. Yesterday he went to the lab where his girlfriend worked because she suddenly asked him to come to a project. As a result, his ex-wife introduced him to a device that could destroy the world by breaking time and space. Then the ex-wife took Roy's sample and sent him back. The next day is a day that repeats itself forever. This time, Roy realized that he should have a signal locating device on his body so that those people can target him. Roy is then killed and reincarnated. He takes care of the killers who broke into his house and then goes to a Chinese restaurant to look for the locator. Roy learns from a surveillance guy that the best locator implant is actually a tooth. Then Roy goes into the bathroom and starts pulling out teeth. And finally, they find the tooth with the locator, and the killer wakes up again as expected. Roy grabs last night's female companion and asks who ordered the hit, and gets the response that it was his ex-wife's boss. Finally getting close to the truth, Roy relies on experience to kill the killers back, using the tooth as bait to lure them over and kill them one by one, and then put them all together in one place and burn them. Now it's time for a surprise attack on the lab, and Roy starts snatching up the dodge and heading straight for the lab. The lab is far more unprotected than it looks. The security guards surround it, and Roy activates the bomb in the car to do it again. Roy finally sees the monitor above his head and finally completes the elevator copy. He's finally confronted the chairman of the lab, who's a psychopath trying to remake the world with a pre-built device. But now the device won't stop for some reason. Roy kills the chairman and immediately goes to the arcade to look for his son. But all he sees here is his son's body. Then the world began to collapse and the pre-built device was activated. He is the child chosen by his ex-wife to save the world by resurrecting him. Then it occurred to Roy that his ex-wife was still alive this morning. So, if he can save his ex-wife before she dies, can he save the world? A new round of Roy killed directly into the company headquarters. Finally, Roy killed all the villains. Finally, Roy kills all the villains and meets his ex-wife in full. Now there is one last part left. The reason why the time device exploded was because part of it was on Roy, giving him the ability to revive indefinitely. So as long as he enters the device, he can stop all this. Roy is righteous.